when she goes titty sit pretty under my necklace, I can't like, yeah, me too, Meg. Like, I can't make it make sense for me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lot of these lyrics where it's like the people who talk like this in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I know you follow them on Instagram. Chris, you follow them on Instagram too.
I don't think so.
I follow them. You definitely follow them on Instagram. But we don't like these people. The person who talks like this and goes, these hoes want to beat me so bad. They want to fuck every nigga I had. They want to touch all the money I touch. Mm-hmm. The person you know who is like that in real life is annoying. That's just the truth.
That's true.
That's the truth. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. Everyone watching on YouTube, hit that like button, share this video. Of course, leave us a comment. Let us know how wrong we've always been.
Especially Adriel.
And make sure you're subscribed. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather, a.k.a. I Transcend. We're here joined like we are every single week by His Royal Highness, a.k.a. the Bunny, King Grant.
Welcome back, people. We've got one of my favorites, Megan Thee Stallion, dropping her latest album, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
The album cover has been changed. I don't know if anybody really remembers it, but on Instagram, the album cover was her like hanging upside down out of a cocoon, and then it got panned, and now we have the egg, her crawling out of the egg. So Megan Thee Stallion, Megan, we're back.
Let us know in the comments if you remember. All the Megan fans, if you remember the old album.
Yeah.
But let us know in the comments. This is our third Megan review to her third studio album. So clearly we have been on point when it comes to Megan. But her first project since leaving her old label, 1501. So I think it's a great place to start here because that was a big part of kind of her beef she was going through before the Tory situation, was her going against her label and that whole situation. And I've seen so many clips of her online talking about, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. If you want something done right, you got to spend your own money. So this, I think, is that next part of her career where still a major artist, but this is, not, I don't want to call her independent, but independent adjacent. Mm-hmm. Independent adjacent Meg. And I want to start with her three singles before we get into the album because they were all snake coded. We had Cobra in November, Hiss in January, and then Boa in May. What did you think about the singles?
I thought when the singles came out, they kind of felt a little bit lackluster. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie to you. Megan Thee Stallion is known for she's a hitmaker, right? Bombastic singles that take over the summer. Talking about Savage. We're talking about even the song with Cardi B that I can't remember the name. WAP.
How could you forget about WAP?
Yeah, so she's a hitmaker.
Yes.
Right? So I was expecting, album around the corner, here it comes. And then we got the three singles and they were more rappy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, she's an extremely prolific rapper, but they were much more rap-centric than I thought they would be. So I was a little bit disappointed, not going to lie to you. Mm-hmm. I did like the subject matter because she's getting into the nitty-gritty, but I was disappointed by the hype that it was generating.
Yeah, I think those singles really signaled that we're at a different place with Meg. I think that Meg as a hit maker might be a thing of the past.
Oh,
I think that to have three singles and none of them be hits, especially when they're basically all diss records to some degree. Yeah. And for a Megan Thee Stallion diss record to not be a hit in any way, shape, or form feels odd. You would think that the hype of getting new Meg music, the I guess high intensity of the beat, especially the people she's talking about on some of these songs. So to see those not become hits, I don't want to say she's done for good, but I think that the days of Megan Thee Stallion being like an automatic hit maker, those days are gone. Because is there a hit on this project? We'll talk about that later in terms of production, but I think that Meg is one of those artists where she's known for her singles. Yeah. All the people I know who are Meg fans aren't into the deep cuts. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear any... Meg deep cuts sounds hilarious, but they're not into the deep cuts.
Hold on a second. You talking about Not Nice? We don't like Not Nice. Tina Snow. We're not talking about Tina Snow.
But that's the thing is, like, I think the casual Meg fan, the average Meg fan, isn't into that. They're here for the hits. They're here for the cash shit, the WAP, the Savage. So for her to not have any of those, I'm just to see how her fan base grows with her, because that's kind of what they're looking out for. And then I think what's changed a lot in her subject matter, there was a lot of always talking shit. Everyone's trying to fuck on Meg, fuck on her man, that whole thing. But now she's returning shots. It's a lot of return fire, whether it's Drake or Tory Lanez, which is literal fire, or Nicki Minaj. So a lot of this project is that, and that's something that I was in a weird place of, do I hold this against her or not? Because that's kind of a very big rap trope of, like, you get into some beef, you put it in the project. You know, Future's last two projects, that was basically the whole project, the whole two projects. Drake, For All the Dogs, a lot of that as well. And so it did feel like there's a lot of it on here, but at the same time, that's kind of what happens in rap.
Yeah, I think that when the diss tracks have become huge, first of all, diss tracks don't really get huge. I know we're living in a period where Kendrick Lamar's diss track is literally one of the most popular songs this year, but usually diss tracks are...
You're right. Maybe more viral than hit.
Yeah, they're more of like, oh, did you see this? Oh, did you see that? Blah, blah, blah. But usually for it to be a hit song or a big song, it has to be kind of like Not Like Us, where it's a diss track, but it's also, he was trying to make it like a party song. Just like Back to Back it was like he was trying to make a hit song, right? So Drake was trying to make a hit song. So I think when it comes to Hiss, BoA, and what was the third one? That was... Hiss, BoA,
and Cobra.
Because they're directed at a specific artist, even though they're singles, it's not going to be as bombastic. I still think she's a capable hitmaker. I think that could still be done. But I honestly think this all fits into what I think is the theme of this album, is like actual cohesive songs that go together. I think that this is probably the most cohesive Megan Thee Stallion album has sounded since Tina Snow, to be honest.
Okay.
So I think that because those songs don't stand out as much is because I think she is more focused on putting together like a good body of work versus just showing out for a single.
I think there's a bit of in between there, like a gray area with her, because I remember when Hiss came out. Obviously, that was in the midst of her going back with Nicki Minaj. That was the largest sales for a song since maybe 6 months before that. So at the time when that song came out, it was a really big moment.
Yeah.
Now that didn't last into chart success, but I think she still has that quality of when she drops something or mentions someone, it's a huge viral moment. She mentions that a lot on here of like, listen, y'all trying to mention me for clicks. When I mention you, that's when y'all get popping. And it reminded me of someone she is going against, of Drake, like the Drake effect of like, you mention Drake, you talk about Drake, you do a song with Drake, it gets popping. Meg is having a little bit of that in her own right. I do think there's something to that where it's like you go against Meg or you mention Meg or Meg mentions you. Yeah. The numbers go up. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, she says a lot like that on Hiss, like where she was like, I guess this is one of the lyrics I wanted to bring up was like, bad bitch and the walls ain't bending, post photo names start trending. Why every time all of your Z-list hosts start doing an interview, I get mentioned? I don't give a fuck who think about what that niggas. Oh my God. I don't give a fuck who think what you niggas is typing for nothing on the internet, typing that shit to me. Write him a letter or something. Say, bitch ass nigga, don't type me nothing. Don't write me nothing else. Don't type me nothing else. Download JPay since y'all niggas got so much to say, or schedule a conjugal visit.
That's a bar. I like that one. I like that one. But that's like what you just showed us is a lot of what the project is. And there's a lot of that of like, yo, y'all gotta keep my name out your mouth, stop mentioning me. And I think it's interesting because this is not our first Meg review. So we've seen her growth, or lack thereof, depends what side you're on, lyrically from her first major album. The first one, Good News, we reviewed in November of 2020. Can you remember what score you gave Good News?
I think I gave that a 5. I think because I don't remember being impressed by it.
Yep, you gave it a 5.5. I gave it a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was probably the start of Meg finding out is she going to be an album artist or a singles artist?
Mm-hmm.
And then with Traumazine, I remember us both being impressed with that project.
Yeah.
Do you remember the score you gave it?
I think I gave it a 6.5 where I'm like, okay, it's getting slightly better, but it's not quite there yet.
I want the listeners to know that Démar is unaware of how much Meg Kool-Aid he's actually been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
You gave it an 8.
Wow.
I gave it a 7.5. So I wanted to make that clear because I think that she doesn't have that reputation yet.
Yeah.
I think Traumazine was an album that is like an actual album from her. People don't think she makes.
Mm-hmm.
But that reputation has not transitioned over
proceeded.
into Megan. When you talk about production on here, I had this comment that someone said on Instagram that like I laughed out loud when I saw it because I know a lot of people feel like this. Someone commented on a post and it said, I know what the whole album sounds like without even hearing it.
Wow.
And production-wise, that's a lot of Megan's music. I think this album is not completely dissimilar from that. I think there are moments where you're like, okay, she tried something here. But a lot of this album sounds very, very similar. And that's my one, I guess, like, gripe with Meg is like, that's one of those things where people think that about her. It's been a criticism about her. And it's actually true. And a lot of times what the masses think about an artist is usually untrue. You hear a couple songs, some people tell you this, you hear it on a podcast, and you just repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
For Meg, of all her songs sounding very similar, very, very true. And this album is no different. The one song that I did want to highlight, because this is like a bright spot for me, I think this is maybe the best sample flip she's ever had on Broke His Heart.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait, that doesn't sound like everything that she does.
That's the one. And she samples Young Jeezy's I Love It. Tay Keith produced that one.
Yeah. One thing about that song, the production tag is by Drake. Isn't that Drake saying Tay Keith fuck these niggas up? Isn't that Drake saying that?
No, I don't think so.
Who is saying that?
I don't know who it is, but I don't think it's Drake though.
I swear it's continue. I swear it's Drake.
Interesting. So you think she has like Drake on the song?
No, I just found it weird. Like if it is Drake, maybe we can cut this if it's not Drake. But I'm like, I swear that voice is Drake.
I don't think it's Drake because I feel like he had that before he did a song with Drake.
Okay, well,
yeah, but I like that. Well, maybe it is Drake. Maybe it is Drake. Okay,
it is Drake.
We'll confirm later on, but it may actually be Drake. But I like that one because it's an actual sample flip that isn't super noticeable. That's one of like, if you actually know the song, know Young Jeezy, then you're like, okay, I like to hear this. But I think a lot of Meg fans don't know like where that sample is from. And that's probably one of the first times she uses sample where it's like not obvious right off the bat. But why I highlighted that song, even though we're gonna get to lyrics later, is like, even though the beat is a little different than what it usually is for her, lyrically, it's the same. And I would love if we could get the stats on this of like how much times she uses the word pussy on this song and in the project. Because this is a song where I was like, this song could have been something different, but you still had to make it pussy rap.
Right.
And the production, when you hear the production on its own, you're like, oh, this is something's going on here. We're heading somewhere. Especially when you think of the original song, which I'm sure Meg is old enough to know.
Yeah.
And the direction that song goes in. It's like this could have been some real motivation, some hype, something empowering. And for it to all come back to pussy rap, there's a song where I thought, even though she's shown that she's capable lyrically, I think this is just where she lives now. Because, you hear a song, just the production, and you're like, how did an artist hear this beat and this is what he came up with? That's what I felt about this one. I'm like, you heard this beat of all the beats you got, and still the same words came out of your mouth.
I think one thing that you're missing the point with Megan Thee Stallion, sexual empowerment, bro. She's big on that. She is huge on that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Right? So I think that even though that it may seem repetitive to some people, I think that it's important to know like that is like her shtick. right?
I think shtick is the right word to use.
Yeah.
Shtick is the right word to use.
But it's like, Drake's shtick is like, I'm heartbroken all the time. Like every artist has like what their music is about.
But I think using Drake is a good point because we give Drake a lot of grief for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so to give Megan props for that seems kind of unfair. And when you think of the fact that female rap has gone way past this pussy rap stage, it's like she's stuck in the past. It's like we have all these rappers doing things well beyond this.
Mm-hmm.
And Megan is like, nope.
Yeah, but
I'm still here.
What is separating her from what? Who did we review earlier this year?
Flo Milli.
What's the difference?
I think Flo Milli is different because Flo Milli is speaking of terms of confidence and braggadocio had nothing to do with sex. I think Megan's whole thing is about everyone wants my pussy and pussy is the best.
Yeah,
like you're more than your pussy. Respectfully,
she is.
She is, but that her music doesn't reflect that, and so. The way we give Drake grief or Lil Baby grief of like, okay, we get it, money, cars, and hoes. What about your kids? What about Meg is the female version of that. And I think we're kind of moving the goalposts because she's a woman of like, it's empowering, it's, all these other things. It's like, we're past that. It's not like every female rapper raps like this and we're grading on a curve. We're past that era. So it's like she is the female version of all the rappers that you speak out against, like the Gunnas, the Navs, who their lyrics like stay in this one box. So it can be empowering, but I think that Megan's in a one-trick pony, and she's kind of choosing to be when she doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I think that when we come to like this situation, I do think that she raps about the similar things over and over. I like how we said we're going to start with production. We're doing the lyrics first.
Can't help ourselves.
But I think that because her like rapping ability is still like higher than any of the guys that you named. Like I don't believe Gunna or like Lil Baby or Da Baby, any of those people in that sphere can out rap her. I think that her still, no matter what, her ability to put the words together in sequence is better. She's better. She's a better rapper than Lil Baby.
Okay,
like it's like I don't even think that's a question.
No, but
I don't even think that's a question.
I hate this because I actually like Meg, but like that doesn't matter. It's like when there was an era in the 2010s when all the battle rappers started to put out mixtapes. It's like, yeah, you rap better than everybody else, but it's like, does that? And that's where I was like, Meg has shown she can make good songs.
No, but here's the thing. So this is what I'm trying to get to. Is like I don't think she makes music for you. Like I think you particularly, you're like looking for these extra elements. Right, which she does have, like she does sing on songs and stuff like that. But her like empowerment element of her music, really, it's really like her like feeling like she's the best shit ever. Her sexuality is a large part of that. I feel like you're just not able to connect with it, which is fine.
I think the reason why is like it's the monotony of it.
Yeah,
is like again, if a man was rapping about his dick for a full album, there's no way we're giving that a high score. There's literally no way. And I've been a huge fan of female rap this past 2 years. Like that is like
I don't know. Eminem used to get high scores.
You mean when we were 4 years old, like before this podcast started?
And I'm just saying, like in general, like
I'm saying we like when we're like we wouldn't give Eminem a high score for that. You know, like so. Me, I've been a huge fan of female rap the past couple of years, especially, and that's like my workout playlist. Glorilla, Cardi B, Flo Milli. So I'm not like not listening to female rap. Like I'm comparing her to her contemporaries on both sides. And it's like the male rappers that I don't give the credit for, that's what she sounds like.
Okay.
And so it's like to give her credit because she's a woman, it's like, oh, because you're a woman, when I would give Moneybagg a 3, I'll give you a 7. That doesn't feel fair. And especially because she's shown she can make good songs. Yeah. And I think that's the difference between everyone we're naming is like, she's shown she can make real hits, real quality music, and doesn't have to lean on this crutch. And so it's like, this crutch that she's leaning on, we're not seeing everyone else leaning on it. Like there's people who are making power music, they're leaning on it. Lil Sims is not leaning on this.
Yeah, facts.
So it's like, again, I'm sorry about what happened to her with Tori. It's unfortunate that everyone's coming at her. But if we're going to be objective and honest, like we have to treat her the same way we treat the Drakes, the Lil Babies, the Navs. And it's like, you're not doing that because those guys you wouldn't give a high score. Yeah. And you're giving her this high score when it's like...
I haven't even rated it yet.
I know what it is. I haven't
even rated. This guy's talking about me giving a good score. I haven't even fully... We're 15 minutes into the review, and this guy's anticipating me. He's like, yo, this guy's about to give this shit a 9 out of 10.
It's because I know you personally, which makes it more, but it's like when Meek Mill only talks about like chains and cars for a full project, you wouldn't call that empowering and motivation. And that's what this is a version of that.
Yeah, I think that
and that's for you. That you're the black man that's for.
No, I was just about to say, when I was listening to this, I actually did think about Meek Mill. I'm like, she's actually very similar to Meek Mill in my eyes. Whereas like something like Dreams and Nightmares comes out. Dreams and Nightmares, literally, that's a classic song. I don't know if people are...
I'm tired of it, but yes, a classic song.
But I think that they're similar in that way, right? Where their music is very centralized on self and uplifting of oneself, whether or not whatever way it's done, that is the major premise. I know you're talking about why doesn't she rap about other things that are happening in her life? She lives like everything that we see about Megan Thee Stallion is like there's nothing to even rap about because like literally everybody dissected it, bisected it, tore it apart, consumed it. You know, they drank it, they ate it, they like absorbed it through fucking AC. Like, it's impossible to write raps about. And when she did, which was in Traumazine, she did write about it.
And that's you proved my point. She's capable.
Yeah.
She raps about the things that we see. Things happen with her that we don't see on social media. She chooses the 4 or 5 things that we see on social media. The whole album's about that. At least this project.
Right.
Traumazine was different. But I think that's a problem of like, you do things outside of the 4 or 5 things that we see on social media.
Yep.
So rap about them.
She did. She went to Tokyo and she has Otaku Girl on it.
Let's get to that because I have that here in my production. I like the keys a lot on this beat on Otaku Girl. I like her attempt at Japanese.
Did you think it worked though?
I don't think it worked at all. And it's like, I think it's kind of really unfortunate for Meg because Meg was one of those artists who I used to defend a lot because the thing I'm saying, people were saying with like not even listening to her.
Right.
And I think that Meg is in a place now where it's like, I don't know if Meg knows her own formula. I think a song like this is like, I like this collaboration.
Yeah.
I like this beat, but is this the way it should have went? I don't know if we needed you rapping in Japanese.
Yeah.
While rapping in English like 2 lines later.
Yeah, I know she was in Tokyo. She was in Japan. I think she was like, I don't remember why, but she was like attending like a convention or something like that out there. And also that's why I'm wearing my Gundam shirt.
Yes.
I do have like a My Hero shirt, and she mentions Gojo.
My Hero would have been nice.
But it's not. It's more of it's on the back.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, so I think she's definitely tapping into, I think, the anime and Japanese like part of her. Like she really likes anime. I think I've even mentioned this to dudes before. I'm like, yeah, Megan Thee Stallion's a huge anime fan. They're like, yeah, but is she really an anime fan? I feel like this is almost one of those like situations where she almost felt like she had to prove like she's a real, like to really make a song called Otaku Hot Girl.
Yeah.
Also doesn't have anybody else on it. Like why not include like a Japanese artist, like a Japanese woman? Why isn't there a Japanese woman on this song that is doing something equivalent to Megan Thee Stallion? You know what I mean? So I felt like it was a little bit of a miss.
It said it's featuring Yuki Chiba. I guess it's not in the credits.
Yeah,
but Yuki Chiba is here.
That's in Mamushi. That's in a couple songs later. We're talking about there's 2 different songs.
Oh yes. Okay.
Right. Otaku Hot Girl. It's just her, and she kind of includes, you know, a bunch of like references, Gojo, Sexy Nujitsu, like Naruto. I'm not trying to fuck with Sasuke avatars in the Twitter feed and stuff like that. So I think that she wanted to pull things in from anime, which has been done literally a million times in hip hop.
Yep.
I think that she was doing it almost too blatantly, like too obviously.
I think it's just way too overt. Like I think there's a way to make this more low key and kind of like fit seamlessly into the project.
Yeah, because you can think of like somebody like X, like XXXTentacion loves anime. Even somebody like Lupe.
Yes.
Lupe really likes anime. So there's ways, that's like, I'm trying to show the spectrum.
Curry,
Denzel Curry, that's like a big spectrum of artists.
Yeah.
Like the type of music that they make, and they were able to pull it in different ways. So I feel like hers was so obvious and overt, like that you mentioned, that it was like, it's on the nose. Like, I get it, like, but you gotta give me, not everybody makes, like, sometimes you'll make a song like Raph, where it's just about Raph Simmons.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes it works, right? But then, most of the times when people are talking about what type of car they drive or what kind of watch they wear, it's like one line, two lines, and then we keep it pushing,
And you know what? I think this is happy because Otaku Hot Girl is one of the songs I had in production that I wanted to make sure that we got to, because I think that Megan is at a place where her celebrity has grown past her music. And she's not in the Ice Spice lane yet. Like that's going too far. Like, she's not Ice Spice. But I think, like, as of now, she's headed in that direction. And I think that the music is reflecting that when it doesn't need to. I think if she went more the Trauma Zine route, this would be a better project, because there are things that, like, her being an anime fan, which people don't really know about. And I think, like, the things we do know about Meg that make it into her music, it's kind of like, you can share these other things with us, in a sense, and have that be part of your music. It's like the Eminem test of, if you're a true artist, you need to make a biography because it's all in the music. If Meg's autobiography was based only on her lyrics, what does that movie look like? You get what I mean? And so I think that's the part where it's like, this is Meg's third project. Back in the day, the third project was a pivot point, seeing if artist is going to last or they headed downward. And I think that I'm still looking for Meg to be, like, 3-dimensional. And I think the production on here, like, this is my close on the production, is like, there isn't really too many moments on here where I'm like, okay, she gets it. It's going to be more than what it is. Paper Together with UGK. Yeah. I like that one a lot. Me too. I don't want to say she ruined the song, but UGK definitely outshined her on that. But it's UGK, like, legendary rap group. Yeah. Like, there's no shame in that. But I think that
the Pimp C chorus is pretty good. I like that.
No.
Rest in peace, Pimp C.
No, they killed it. But I think, to me, it's like, Meg is talented enough to be 3-dimensional. We've talked about her rapping ability so many times on this show. And so I'm, to be fair, like, or maybe unfairly, rating her on this curve of she can do more. I think that is my main problem with the production, is like, you have a bunch of different producers on here. It's like, are you asking the producers for Meg Thee Stallion type beats? Like, is that what's happening? Because Tay Keith has made a ton of other stuff. Yeah. All these producers, so it's like, how are all these producers coming in and giving you, like, the same shit you've had for 6-7 years?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the production, I think that she does have a sound, though. She has a sound for you to be like Megan Thee Stallion type beat. That means that you have a sound.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think she is actually approaching it. Whatever that sound is, I think she's getting closer to approaching what it actually is. Because I listened to some song like a Downstairs DJ.
Yeah.
Where it has, like, these crazy chimes, right? And it's very, like, most of the keys in her music now, it's all in minor.
Yeah.
Right? It's all minor. It's all, like, almost threatening. Like, songs like Boa and even Hiss. Let me do Boa. I think Boa, hold on. Yeah. Boa, one of my favorites is because it's using these, like, the vocals in the background saying, like, TikTok, right? And she literally, when she's rapping, she incorporates the vocals in the background. She's like, these people are rapping for TikTok or dancing for TikTok. And your time's up and you hear the tick, the clock ticking in the background. So I think that there is an incorporation of the production that she's actually getting better with. I think that it's not as, again, I think she's almost like a victim of, like, her success, where we see songs that are so bombastic from her. You're like, yo, just do that every time. I'm like, nobody can do that shit.
No one's doing that every time.
Yeah, nobody can do that shit every time. So it's kind of, because those are so popular, when it comes to her deep cuts, it's harder for, like, a person to wrangle what she's trying to do, because what will always stick in your mind is WAP, Savage, you know, big old freak, right? Like, those songs. But on a song like Boa, that to me shows, like, she can incorporate the vocal sample, bring it forwards, have the ticking in the background. every time that she even has like a signature when she's doing her choruses, she breathes in the background of her choruses. So I think
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think there's actually things happening here. People are just expecting it to be massive when it happens.
I think what it is like similar to DaBaby. I don't love what her sound is. I think like that sound probably was morphed from the hits. They said, okay, this will be our sound now. But I think if you even go back to Tina Snow, like there was more diversity. And again, I don't think this is what she sounds the best on. I think like BoA to me was a great choice for a single. I like that song. But similar to DaBaby, like when DaBaby was on his third album after blowing up, and people were like, okay, change your flow. We heard the same beat over and over again. Meg is like on that exact same trajectory. And it's like, I don't know. This is not the best Meg sounds to me. Like, even though I like BoA, I'm not like, oh, this beat and Meg, perfect match. And I feel like, again, these type of beats for Meg, we don't need it every single time.
Okay.
And so
did you like Spin with Victoria Monet?
Victoria Monet is my baby girl, of course. Of course. But I got some lyrics. Some lyrics.
One thing I wanted to say about Spin before we get to the lyrics is that I think that Megan Thee Stallion is working best when the beat is slow in like an R&B way.
You mean like none of the beats on this project except for Spin?
Spin? There's a handful. There's a handful where it is like slower. But I think the Spin is probably the best version. I honestly think Tina Snow is the best version of her music.
Still, to this day.
But I feel as though because even at the very beginning of her career, she doesn't want to like stay in that space all the time just because it seems like she's not evolving. But sometimes we gotta admit defeat. Sometimes we gotta admit defeat.
I actually agree with you when you're talking about Spin as like that's better for her. It's like,
or even Boss, B.A.S.
Yeah. But that's kind of my point. Like, those are outliers on this project. This project is almost 20 songs.
Yeah.
Like, most of the songs are not what we're saying is where she's best at.
Yeah.
And my point is like, we're doing a lot of moving the goalpost for her when it's like, your singles are never the songs you say you sound the best on. Because Spin would never be a single for Meg when it probably should have. And it's like, most of your songs are the type of beats that we're like, you are not the best on.
Right.
And that's what you call her signature sound. So it's like your signature sound being the sound that you're not the best on. It's like, again, in a normal situation, we would be like, what the fuck? But because it's Meg, it's like, that's cool. So it's like, I'm the seeing, it's like, we're saying the same things of like, what's like going wrong.
Yeah.
But we're treating it as if like, you did this wrong, but like, good job still.
No.
And it's like.
No, I think that we are saying the similar things because we like most of the same songs.
Yeah.
I like B.A.S. a lot. But I think, and that is again another like synth driven, more of like an R&B.
That's totally different from everything else on here.
I don't think it is.
The breakdown part, the breakdown part, but like leading up to that, it's the regular.
Right. If you say so. But I think that we're saying we like and dislike the same things, but I think that her combination of the rapping is still like what carries her over everything for me. I think I've said this before, but she's like kind of like Logic, right? Where I'm like,
that's a crazy comparison.
She is though. I feel like her rapping ability is like kind of one of the reasons why you turn into the music is because she's so good at it.
No, I don't think you're wrong. Yeah. I think that's like an apt comparison. But why I say it's crazy is because there's a part of hip hop that is like there's what you're saying and how you say it.
Yeah.
And some people can do both, some people can't do both.
Yeah.
Meg, it's definitely just of how she's saying it.
Yeah.
What she's saying doesn't matter.
Okay, you're not loving it.
And I think that like Logic is down that road a lot too.
Yeah.
Like, if you like the way he raps, but what he's actually saying, inconsequential. And so it's like, I think that when we talk about Meg lyrically, like I love how good she is in terms of her dexterity and her flows and her delivery. Still one of the best.
Yeah, A1.
Still one of the best. But it's like, this is kind of, I think, a split in generations in a sense of like, one generation cares what you're actually saying while you're spitting well. One generation is like, you could be saying the alphabet, but if you say that shit with some fly, then it's okay. And I think Meg is like the second one of like, what she's saying, it could be something completely different, but how she's saying it is why we're here.
Yeah.
Where them girls at?
You like that one?
I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it.
I did not like that one.
Where them girls at? And I feel like I'm being hard on Meg, but like I actually expect her to do well. You know, like I think she's talented. I think she can do better. And a song like this, I really listened to the song twice when I heard it the first time. And I sat down and I said, who is this for?
I don't know.
Who is the and why I say that is because I think that when we use words like empowering, talking about Meg's music, we're talking about it being for women.
Yeah.
When we say that. And the women I know who are Meg fans don't want to hear this. And so I think it's a word that we've just like attached to her music and attached to pussy rap. As in like, it's not for men, we don't get it. And it's for the women. But the women I know who like Meg aren't into that. And so when I heard this song, that's what I thought of, like, we will say this is empowering or it's for whoever it's for. But again, the women I know who like Meg, and this is anecdotal experience, but they're not into that. So I think this is something we've like just created, you know, in terms of making it empowering. When I don't know there's an actual group of people who are like, she's talking about her pussy enough. I don't think that group, it really exists.
Yeah.
So this verse 1 on Where Them Girls, that made me think of that. And in verse 1 she says, titties sit pretty under my necklace. Real big fat ass I was blessed with. 2 pretty ass friends, we besties. I'm it, but they still can't catch me. These hoes want to be me bad. They want to fuck with the nigga I had. They want to touch all the money I touch. No tea, they make shit up. 40-inch wig I bust down. G6 how I touch down. Hot girl, put them cuffs down. This is, I think, tame in terms of what's on this project lyrically.
Yeah, because I'm about to give you one that's crazy.
No, this is tame. And this is why I'm comparing her to the like trap rappers, because this is very similar to me of a Gunna or a Lil Baby or a Young Thug saying, no, ice on my ear, ice on my neck. I got the gang with me. This is very similar to that. And I think that this version of that almost sounds worse because it is more direct. I think there's a version of the other side of this where it's like, I got ice, my gang with me, which is so vague. You know, like your gang with you could be your coworkers if you want to lean it that way. You know, I think like this song and these lyrics, you can't really lean to interpret it a different way. When she goes, titties sit pretty under my necklace, I can't like, yeah, me too, Meg. Like, you know, I can't make it make sense for me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lot of these lyrics where it's like, the people who talk like this in real life, I know you follow them on Instagram. Chris, you follow them on Instagram too.
I don't think so.
I follow them. You definitely follow them on Instagram. But we don't like these people. The person who talks like this and goes, these hoes want to be me so bad. They want to fuck every nigga I had. They want to touch all the money I touch. The person you know who is like that in real life is annoying. That's just the truth.
That's true.
That's the truth. And so I bring it back to the same thing of like, what happened? I guess I know what happened. It's her versus Tori, but what happened where we just moved to the goalpost where this is like empowering and cool now?
Yeah.
Because when someone does this in real life, you're like, shut the hell up.
Right.
I don't care about you and your nigga, whatever. So to me, I hear these lyrics and I go, I don't know who this song is for. I don't know who these lyrics are for. And I say to myself, Meg, there's nothing else happening interesting in your life to talk about. Like there's literally nothing else. Like a couple lines where they want to fuck your nigga, they want to be you. That is standard. That is standard. Every rapper, no matter how they identify, is gonna have some lyrics like that. But for this to be the bread and butter, because I know you're about to take it even more left than this, is like Meg is not incapable. And I'm coming back to that as like on her last project, we both gave her a high score. We saw her talk about things in her actual life, things she was going through. And I think that for someone who raps this well, I will, maybe this is like a soundbites segment at one point, but name a rapper that raps this well, that raps about nothing like this. I can't think of one. Like Drake would be the closest, but when Drake decides to rap well, he raps about things. Yeah. It's kind of like it goes together. So again, name the rapper who raps this well, who decides to rap about nothing.
Yeah, I think my answer right now is Logic. That's why I keep bringing up her comparison to Logic.
Yeah.
I think that, first of all, that song I think is literally the worst song she's dropped in probably like 2 albums. I think
more than 2.
I think this is one of her worst songs. That like looping synth sound, that whoop 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 whoop, that is so annoying. Like I couldn't get behind that song in any degree. I want to bring up B.A.S, which I think is bad. I can't remember what it actually stands for. But there is one line. This is from the jump on this song. Okay, this is on verse 1. We talked about a bunch of verses and stuff like that in the lyrics. So like, we don't want to break down every single thing but this is something that she said that I was literally taken aback by. Okay. This is in verse 1. That ain't my bae. He really more like my bidet. He liked to wake up with my ass in his face. He told me turn around, spread that shit up open. Okay. Only time I'ma obey. Wow. Like, wow.
Maybe Meg won't DM me.
Yeah, wow. I don't think the last time I've heard somebody say something like that was maybe like on a cupcake project or something.
Yeah, no, this is giving like 3 6 Mafia in their prime.
Yeah, that's like Lil Wayne type shit. You know what I mean?
Crazier than Lil Wayne, I would say. It's like, this is the intro to the song. Like this is like the start of the song. And that's why I brought up the lyrics in production, because like when I hear a rapper rap really well on a song, I'm like, this is how I know I ain't made for rap, because how did you hear this beat and came up with that? It's like if you listen to Not Like Us, listen to the beat is not that fast. And Kendrick Lamar was rapping double time most of the time. Yeah. How did your brain hear double time on this beat?
I think she's trying to go for a contrast or something like that, because that song overall is pretty slow, and it also has like a beat switch midway where it's kind of like a more like Jersey Club, where the beat is going double time. So or the 808s are going double time. So I think that song is like the Tina Snow thing that I was talking about, where it's like that raining, almost like synth, like 80s, almost like 80s synth style. And it's still dark, it's still slow. I think that slow and darkness works for her, like Boa and Hiss. Yeah. And this Tina Snow-esque sound that I love and wish she would just come back home. Come back home.
It's not happening.
Give me a nice little 8-track mixtape on this. I think, again, because Tina Snow was only like 8 or 9 songs. I think it's like her best sound in a project. When it comes to her hits don't sound like anything like this, right?
So this song you just mentioned, the B.A.S, produced by Lil Juju, and every song that we've mentioned, I'm looking to check who produced it, and all basically different producers. Yeah, and
she needs to lock in with one person. That would probably help her a lot.
I think that would help her, but I think this is why I'm saying that this is like a deeper problem, is because I don't think that every beat in the pack sounded like this. I think there was probably a couple Megan Thee Stallion type beats, and probably some of what the other stuff Lil Juju does. Yeah. And I think she probably said, nope, I'm cool. Give me the same thing I've gotten every single time. And I think you talking about locking with the same producer, maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's an A&R, but that is the main issue here, is I think that and the lyrics are linked. I think if there was different production, it would sound even crazier to rap this way on that production. Like I think if the production was different, like kind of like on that song with Victoria Monet, Spin. Yeah. Like if there was more spin, it does sound a little wild if you were to start like an R&B song. This ain't my bae. He really wore me like a bidet. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that there's a part of the sound and the lyrics are almost a crutch to each other. Yeah. And so let me know if you have any other lyrics, but I think that is my takeaway from this, is like she's not like diving into these new sounds in the way that I would like, and I think the lyrics are kind of like akin to this sound that she's attached to.
Yeah, you know who would say that type of lyric? The Weeknd. I feel like that's something the Weeknd would say.
Wake up with his ass in their face. Yep.
Yeah, maybe from his perspective, you know what I'm talking about.
You think Weeknd doesn't get his ass ate? Like, come on.
Allegedly,
I wouldn't put that past Abel. Come on.
Possible, but I think that from his perspective, I think those
lyrics spread that shit open.
I think those lyrics would exist from his perspective. So I also think, well, the Weeknd's also making 80s synth based music. Yep. So that's I would say not obvious, but if you just did a little digging, just a slight dig, just a slight dig, you would actually see a through line there.
Yeah.
But I think that it would work for her. Whether or not she has the foresight to do that, I'm questioning more and more these days, I would say.
When we talk about what this means for her career, I think one thing I really have kind of clued in with Meg, because Meg is like my own personal case study I've been doing.
Yeah.
Just in terms of, one, just seeing how the internet treated her with the whole Tory situation, embarrassing for hip hop. I think to have a woman feel that unsafe in hip hop, I'll never forgive hip hop for that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was just totally ridiculous. But to see where she's gone musically since then has been a real case study for me, because I think that she has to win a lot of people over still at this point in her career. Even though she's a big star, she has her core fan base, she's a hit maker, I do think there's still this apprehension with Meg, and I think she still suffers from that pussy rap trope.
Mm-hmm.
And this album didn't really take her out of that. And when you talk about people like The Weeknd or Denzel Curry or X, and I think about, why does Meg not have as many features on other people's songs? And I think that's a part of the reason is, like, once Meg is on your song, it becomes pussy rap. Mm-hmm. Almost no matter what your song was before, once Meg is on it, it's pussy rap. And I think in terms of what this means for her career, this, I think, stagnates her career. I think this keeps her in the same spot. I don't think she loses any points. I still think, WAP will still get play.
Yeah.
Savage will still get play. But I think that this stagnates her career, because I think that is a big hindrance in terms of her growing kind of her perception in hip hop. Because I do think there's people who are probably not going to listen to this project at all. Probably didn't hear Traumazine either.
Yep.
And if they were to try and listen, it's like, what am I listening for? I know what this album sounds like. And if you're one of those people, this album didn't make you feel different from that. And so I think this stagnates her career just in terms of her sound and how she's viewed.
Yeah, I think that I think I would agree with you. I think it's like a neutral. Well, you said stagnate. So stagnate is like, I would say like a slight minus.
Yeah. Slight minus is fair.
Yeah, I would say that this is kind of like a neutral, like you're not gaining anybody, but I also don't think maybe she lost you, maybe.
No. I'll sell it to the next album. She didn't lose anyone.
Yeah.
You're right.
So yeah, so she hasn't really lost anybody. I do think that she is adrift in the sound. Mm-hmm. She is not
lost in the sauce.
she is gone to a point where she doesn't fully know what her sound is. I had this note written down about her sound where I was like, I wonder how she would sound in like cloud rap. Because it's, again, more like synth focused, and it's not really a far jump because she's from Houston. She pays a lot of tribute to Houston. A lot of her music is Houston influence. And the person who was like the harbinger for cloud rap was A$AP Rocky.
Yeah.
And he literally has a song called Houston Old Head. So much of his music is Houston influence as well. So I wonder if she decided to like ever make a jump, or even not even a jump, but just like it's a dabble.
Sidestep.
Yeah, just a little dabble. I wonder how that would work for her. Just because it is slow, right? It's still slow, but it's got just like more shit happening in the production. I think she's kind of like trapped in this trap style production that she's just refusing to escape.
I think you're onto something here, and I'm happy you brought up Logic, because personally I feel like Meg is in that space where she equates rapping fast to rapping well.
Yeah.
And I think like we've been able to seep through that and be like, no, like you can rap good any speed.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know that she knows that. And so I think that that's part of why she is stuck in this place, because you mentioned A$AP Rocky. Again, he was someone doing double time on like chopped and screwed beats and doing all types of different flows in the same song. And I feel like Meg doesn't have that kind of artistic, I guess, freedom or freedom of expression in a sense, where most of her songs are one flow, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Her songs are one flow. And again, it's like, it's almost like a treadmill. Once the beat starts, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's time to go.
We're going. And I feel like, again, that's not always the best music. And so to me, I think for her career, she didn't lose any fans. I think all the Meg fans are going to stay Meg fans. But I do think to me, why I say it is a little bit of a minus is she's entering more celebrity than artist category. I would guess that there's a large group of hip hop fans who don't know any of the songs off this album that are not the singles. And I think that she's become, and this is almost 3 albums of this, but I think unfairly for the first 2, but I think she's at a place where most of hip hop knows who she is, but how much of hip hop can know her music.
Yeah.
And I think without hit songs, like how much people know her music. And this is an album that doesn't have any hit songs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true, but I would also say like how many there's also like an element of like how many dudes know like 2 Flo Milli songs.
Bro.
How many dudes know like
a lot.
five Glorilla songs? Like I feel like
first of all, you name a lot of people. Glorilla is like, if you're talking about who dudes like out of female rappers, Glorilla is the head honcho.
Maybe.
Like the leader. Yeah. It's like Flo Milli is
Not
like
Sexy Red?
Right up under there. Sexy Red is in third. Right. So that's my point is like the days of like men not listening to women, I think like we're getting past that as a culture. I don't think they're gonna be in the playlist the same way Lil Baby is, but I think we're like growing past a point where it's like men are listening to women rappers. Like there was this picture online the other day of V's with a picture of all the female rappers he's a fan of. Meg wasn't on it, first of all. Thought that was interesting. But he said all these women are like my sisters, except for Nicki. I haven't met her, but he was trying to hyping up women rappers. And it's like hip hop is evolving as much as every time you do sound bites, someone's getting assaulted.
That is crazy.
It's true, but hip hop is evolving from the standpoint of men are listening to women rappers more. And for Meg not to be a part of that feels crazy because Meg is almost the genesis of this new era of women rappers. Like, so that's why I say she's really in that spot of like, people know who she is. She's more famous than all these women, like easily. Yeah. But like, that's where it ends. You know, like Doja Cat, add Doja Cat into it, like men know more Doja Cat songs for sure. And so to me, that's a huge like flub for her because you started out the most famous out of all of them. And these women are probably never going to get more famous than you, but they're going to have catalogs that are more known than yours by the masses. And so that feels kind of crazy to me. Would you call this a no skips?
No, it is not a no skips.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's not a no skips. I think we talked about one of the songs that I would skip vehemently. I'm like, yo,
where the girls at?
Yeah, get that shit out of here. But is it a vinyl cop?
No. It's
not a vinyl cop?
Let's talk about the cover.
Okay.
Because I think the cover might be the one reason why someone would cop the vinyl. Yeah. I like the cover.
Me too.
Her kind of hatching out of this egg. But I like, you know what Meg gives me sometimes? It's like, there are times when she wants to be an artiste. Yeah. And she'll have like a break in character. And she'll go like, you know what? I want to be an artiste today. But I feel like Meg is mostly entertainer. But this cover I like a lot. I think this is a great use of white space.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that's something you don't see often. I think the mirroring of the two of her is pretty cool. And I do think like she is someone who usually has herself on the cover. That's been one of her go-tos. Like, again, we talked about Visage last week with Kehlani. Like, Meg's Visage is like,
yeah, it's A1. Everybody can tell.
And this is what I say about celebrities. Like, Future on his last project had a line where he said, "I got a bunch of Megs in the spot." Like, Meg as a noun,
archetype,
as an archetype of like talking about an attractive woman. Yeah, like that's never gonna change. And especially as a tall woman, on top of that, facts. Like that is like something that like we really haven't seen.
Yeah, big facts. I didn't even. Yeah, that's
so. It's like I think she's done great by putting herself on the cover of all of her projects.
Tall women up right now. Her and Cameron Brink, Angel Reese.
True. That's a
tall women are up.
Zendaya.
Zendaya's like 5'10" or some shit like that. Yeah. So tall women up.
Yeah, tall women are up right now. But I like the cover a lot. Yeah,
I like the cover too. I do. I mentioned this at the top, but the alternative cover or the original idea for the cover was her coming out of like a cocoon. I don't know if she still has it on Instagram.
Also, so similar to this.
Yeah, but it was her upside down and it was really dark. And there was like a lot of brown. And I think that was getting killed on Instagram. Like it was getting killed, where it got to the point where she actually decided to change it.
Which is kind of wild.
So I respect her versatility and actual. I'm assuming she took multiple photos. Like, oh, these are the ideas for the album cover, and this ended up being another one of them because I think it's really good. I think it's still with the snake motif that she had been talking about earlier, and she's crawling out of like the ooze and stuff like that. I like that it's also her name Megan is like just like the name of the album. She's not trying to overcomplicate things. So I think that it looks really good. Again, she has a very distinct look, right? So I think that her being featured on the cover with her face towards the camera is really good. So I think the cover is really good.
No, I like the cover a lot.
Yeah.
The cover a lot.
But is it a vinyl cop though?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a vinyl cop for me either.
I hope not. Okay, let's hear about the score.
Okay. The moment everybody's been waiting for.
Your super high score, Démar.
My score for Megan Thee Stallion's Megan. It's a 7 out of 10. Okay.
Wow.
It's good. I think it's good. I'm not at the point where I'm tired of it. Okay. I'm not tired of Megan Thee Stallion. I'm not tired of what she raps about. I'm not tired of the rap style. I do think that she is right now kind of like a depreciating asset when it comes to her rap music, though.
Yeah.
I think that the flows, while solid, always sounds good. It's getting too similar. I think that some of the hooks are too long in some of the songs. That was one of the notes I had written down where it's like, I think there's the song with Glorilla accent. I was like, that hook is really long.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a couple other songs that are like that too. I think Rattle is also like that. So there's that, but I think that rapping is good. I think the production is solid. It's okay. It's doing good. It's doing good work. But it's not doing massive work. No A1 song, which I do consider in my ratings.
Yeah.
Right. There is no, you gotta hear this, send it to somebody type of song.
Definitely not.
And yeah, so I think it's still good. 7. Megan Thee Stallion still making music that I appreciate. But it's getting worse because I had traumatized at like an 8 and something, right? So yeah, I think that her lack of flow variation and lack of alternative things to rap about is starting to hurt her now. Legitimately. So what about you?
For Megan Thee Stallion's Megan, her third studio album.
Yeah.
This is a 4 for me.
Wow.
This album is not good.
Wow.
I think 18 songs of this is
it's long.
Is actually a crime.
Yeah, it's long. Maybe it's
like it's actually a crime.
It's a flat 7. You know what? Remember this?
7 is actually kind of wild. Like,
no, I don't think it is.
I think you like politically you feel like you have to support her.
Why?
Because you want to stand with black women.
No, first of all, I support all women. I love all women, right? But I think that it's like one of those flat 7s for me. I'm like, it's too long because it's like 18 songs, I think, almost an hour, 52 minutes. But the songs are still good. It's just too fucking long.
Yeah, this album's not good to me. I personally think that she's doing a horrible caricature of the early parts of her career. And I think that some of the songs from the early parts of her career actually are better than some of these songs.
I agree.
I think of a song like Thought Shit. And I was like, yeah, Thought Shit would be the best song on this project. Like, and it's like, did you lose that ability to make a song like that? Or because you're still talking about Thought Shit all over this project. So where is that on here? So to me, this album is very repetitive. I think lyrically, one of the worst albums we reviewed all year. I think.
Damn.
Come on. Like.
Damn.
That's an obvious one. I think lyrically one of the worst albums we reviewed all year. I think sonically, like this album is very, very monotonous. Like I think of this project, because she's basically a pop artist at this point. It's like, if you're not a hip hop fan and you hear this, like, how are you going to be a hip hop fan? So to me, this is like, I think I'm giving it a 4 out of respect, if I'm being honest.
Out of respect.
Yeah, out of respect for Meg, because I do have a lot of respect for Meg, but this album was not good.
Okay.
And I think this album is not going to age well as well.
Okay. Well, this is 7, I would say it's extremely shaky 7
this
afterwards.
This is your last chance. Do you want to change your score? This is your last shot.
I'm going to stick to my 7 that is extremely shaky.
This album is much better than Kehlani's album. Like, that's kind of crazy. And we didn't love Kehlani's album, but this album's not much better than...
This is better than Kehlani's album.
Much better? You kick Kehlani a 5.
This is better than that, though.
5 to a 7 is, like, significantly better.
It is better, though. I think it is better.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to ask you in 2 months about this project.
Okay.
We'll see how long you've been listening, how much you've been listening. I doubt you've been listening to any of these songs. I feel very confident in saying that.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see. Let us know in the comments, of course. Who are you siding with? Is it a 4? Is it a 7? Are we both wrong? Is it a 10? Let us know in the comments. Of course, find us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod, on Twitter at Album Mode Pod, on TikTok at Album Mode Pod, on Instagram, Album Mode, on YouTube. Of course, leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less, on all your podcast platforms. Please leave that rating. If you want to see us get up the rankings, those ratings helps us get there. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.